morning. It's McCollum on Business. I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world. Some more gasoline or things trying to be manipulated to drive down the energy costs here in the Arizona and the United States. We'll talk about that coming up. President Trump, causing oil prices to go up again today with some of his comments. We'll tell you about that here in just a minute. Local, national, market watch, plus the stocks we're paying attention to. And I should finish that first statement. Local and national stories that you need to know as well. Let's get into it with the market watch. President Trump said Iranian negotiators better get serious soon before it's too late. Well, that simple statement means, oil jumps this morning because the optimism of a ceasefire or an end to the conflict in the Middle East and getting that Strait of Hormuz back open, has gone away a little bit with those comments. But right now, with the market open about 30 minutes now, Dow Jones is up to 73 points. That's the only one that's up here this morning. 46,476 for the Dow. S&P 500's down 26 points to 65.65. NASDAQ down also 143 points, 21,786. Russell 2K, as you see there, the small cap index down 4 points right now to 25.27. And then Bitcoin, tumbling down below the 70,000 limit or level here, 69,670 for Bitcoin here this morning. And it's all based around those comments. Everything has fallen. I'll tell you this as well. You see the Dow up 28 points right now. It was up 200 points when the market opened earlier today. So those comments obviously creating a sell-off here throughout the market. Stocks we're paying attention to right now in another industry we've been watching closely here for the first part of this year with the shortages in it and the projected shortages and cost increases. Because of those shortages, memory stocks are ones we're looking at. First one we're going to look at this morning are the standard three, but SanDisk will be the first one we look at this morning. Yeah, way down, 5.90%. We're going to look at all three of the big ones we always look at here. But what's happening? Google unveiled a new AI model in which Google said could reduce the amount of memory required to run large language models. The reason why there's a shortage of memory stocks and why the pricing, why your computers, phones, everything are going up because of these memory shortages is because of AI and the demand needed for AI with these memory sticks and things. Well, Google's new AI model not needing as much of them, obviously hurting these memory companies. So SanDisk down 5.45%. Western Digital is the next one that we'll take a quick look at, also down 4.02%. And folks, Seagate Technologies, they're also down today as well, 3.37% there. So the whole industry taking a big hit based off of Google's new AI model that Google did bring out yesterday and unveiled yesterday as well on those memory stocks. So it's amazing how one industry can be so positive with how much demand there is and also be so negative at times as well. Later on when we come back and look at stocks here during our Market Watch segment, we're going to look at Snap. It's the parent company of Snapchat. We have a story in this segment coming up on some of the things they're facing, Snapchat is, so we'll look at their stock coming up. And then we'll look at a couple mining stocks, precious metals, meaning gold, silver, copper miners. They're all faced with some, trying times right now. We know they were run up earlier this year, end of last year, beginning of this year. They kind of had a setback here. So we'll check in on the precious metals, what they're doing, and specific miners as well coming up here later in the program. But first, let's get to the updates you need to know here, getting ready for work. The Trump administration, they're trying to get these gas prices down, and they're going to temporarily lift summer gasoline regulations, all because they're trying to get the prices at the pump down. Now, nationally, it's about $4 a gallon happening right now. I told you yesterday. Now, I drove around a lot yesterday. It seemed like all the quick trips, both down here and around 44th Street and Thomas area, all the way to the East Valley. Every quick trip was at $4.99. Other places I saw were $4.87 in those time frames. So quick trips seem to be a little bit higher than a lot of other places out there. But that's what we're facing right now here, and at least in the East Valley, in the mid Phoenix area. But the emergency fuel waiver that they're signing, well, it's going to allow refiners and retailers to sell E15 gasoline. That's the one that's blended with 15% ethanol. But that's a winter blend, but you can sell that over the summer as well. All of this is happening because the EPA came out and announced this. Restrictions on selling E10 gasoline that contains 10% ethanol. It's going to temporarily be lifted, according to the agency. Normally, federal rules require a switch to the more costly summer blends from June 1st through September 15th. That's because gas with higher ethanol content can evaporate more easily in hot weather, which they say contributes to air pollution. The waiver takes effect on May 1st. It'll be in place through May 20th to do it. So that's the thing. Is that going to drive down prices? And it doesn't go into effect until May 1st, which I understand that's the legal guideline to go into it, right? The waiver marks the White House's latest effort, of course, to curb rising gas prices from this war in Iran, and maybe one of these will drop prices here coming up. I know what'll lower oil and gas prices. Getting this war over with will obviously help oil and gas prices as well. So, hey, Social Security people, if you're on Social Security or you're getting up there in the age where you're going to start getting onto it as well, we all know Social Security has been facing the threat of insolvency, and they say it's going to happen in less than a decade now. Now, there's a new proposal out there that could cap the amount of Social Security benefits that a couple could receive each year. That cap would be $100,000 that they could receive at that point. Now, it's for a specific type of person, we'll put it that way. But, it's all Social Security problems are they keep borrowing from it, but also the aging of America's population is draining the balance of Social Security's main trust fund, and then not enough people on the back end contributing to Social Security, and that's where you're getting the delinquency here as well. And as I told you, the whole Social Security, it's projected to be depleted in 2032 as of right now. So the funds for Social Security benefits, they're drawn from the trust fund along with payroll taxes. They would automatically be cut by law at the time of insolvency to match incoming revenue, which means benefits at that time, well, they estimate at least that they'll be reduced by 24% across the board for everybody. So now the Nonpartisan Committee of a Responsible Federal Budget, that's the CRFP, they launched a trust fund solutions initiative because they want to explore options to improve Social Security solvency. So one of their proposals, well, capping six-figure benefits to that 100,000, all right, is the highest you could go. But they want to do that for the wealthiest couples out there. The six-figure limit is what they're calling it, the SFL proposal. It would put in place a $100,000 cap on the total number of total benefit a couple retiring at the normal retirement age can receive. Adjustments can be done based on marital status and claiming age as well. For single retirees, the limit on Social Security benefits would be $50,000 for singles. CRFB, they noted that while only a small fraction of retirees is actually receiving $100,000 or more in Social Security benefits as a couple, very few are even getting the $50,000 as an individual. These figures will become more common, though, over the next years because Social Security benefit formula changes will make it more common. So right now, not a lot of people are receiving that much. They're saying it's going to be coming, though, with those changes. So there's a proposal, another one. Either way you look at it, it's cutting back benefits. But on this one, they're looking at the wealthier side of things as well. And we got a couple things around the social media sites out there. First one here, well, the Supreme Court. This is a story we told you about earlier where Cox Communications was embroiled in a lawsuit, got it all the way up to the Supreme Court as well. And the Supreme Court unanimously ruled yesterday that internet providers are not liable for copyright infringement by their users. There's a big trial here that if Cox Communications would have lost this, would have changed how we get internet from people. So the opinion was put out there in Cox v. Sony, and it's tossing a $1 billion verdict that a jury had put out there earlier. So Supreme Court making a ruling to overturn that. The ruling marks a significant win, obviously, for broadband youth providers. And because the broadband providers are facing pressure from copyright owners, like Sony, for instance, or movie companies, and that is because they want the internet broadband providers. They want them to police subscriber activity. Cox Communications now cannot be held liable for piracy by its internet service subscribers. So things like songs owned by Sony Music or Warner Group, Universal, any type of music label or even obviously movies, etc. So this is ending the $1 billion plus music copyright lawsuit out there. It's a 9-0 ruling by the Supreme Court, by the way. It overturned a lower court's decision to order a new trial to determine how much the internet service provider owed the record labels for a form of liability called contributory copyright infringement. I know, getting into the weeds there a little bit, but Cox had said a retrial could have produced a verdict against Cox Communications, and it would have cost them as much as $1.5 billion out there. So it was a big deal. Can Cox, can CenturyLink, any of those outages be responsible for what you as a consumer downloads? Well, Supreme Court says no and overruled everything else out there. So that's a big deal. And it was a 9-0 verdict by the Supreme Court. Was the Supreme Court done anything in a unanimous decision lately, right? And then you got that happening. And then on Wednesday, a jury, I'm sure it's going to move up as well because I'm sure it's going to be appealed. But a jury on Wednesday gives us a solution to another court here, the court case that we've been following. This is the one here where the young lady sued the social medias. A couple of them did settle out of court. But this is the one where the young lady sued about mental health issues and how they attack kids, etc. in California. And now a jury yesterday came out and found that Meta and YouTube are liable for creating products that led to harmful or addictive behavior by young users. This is a huge decision that is going to set a legal precedent for the 3,000 plus similar allegations brought up against these social media companies. The jury awarded The jury awarded $3 million in compensatory damages, $3 million in punitive damages as well to the lead plaintiff in the case. Now, this is the case where the lead plaintiff was known as KGM. We've talked about this before here at McCollum Business. She alleged that using YouTube and Instagram from a young age led to addictive use of the platforms and even contributed to her mental health problems, including depression, body dysmorphia, even suicidal thoughts because of those sites. Jurors ruled that Meta and YouTube were negligent in designing and operating their platforms, factors that resulted in harm specifically to the plaintiff. The jurors also found that the companies were aware that their platforms could have adverse effect on minors, and they failed to adequately warn users of that. Meta bears 70% of the responsibility in this case. YouTube has about 30% responsibility, according to the jury. The jurors also decided the companies acted with malice, oppression, or fraud, accounting for the $3 million award in punitive damages. So Meta, of that amount, the punitive side, Meta is going to be responsible for $2.1 million. YouTube has to pay the remaining $900,000. So this has been a weeks-long trial, several weeks here. This is the one where Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg showed up as well, and he showed up in all of his security was in those Meta glasses. The judge admonished them for recording the trial and things to that effect as well. But they went on the stand there to defend their products in a case that drew comparisons to the tobacco industry lawsuits of the 1990s. So this was all in California. Jurors deliberated for 9 days, by the way, a total of more than 40 hours before coming to this decision. At one point, the jurors did tell the judge that they were struggling to reach a consensus on one of the defendants. So the jurors did not have to be unanimous in their decision. A majority did, though, vote to hold both companies liable. And big deal, obviously, they want to appeal it, and it's going to move up, probably get to the Supreme Court at one point here coming up. But this was the landmark trial, the one setting the stage for these other 3,000. And I don't care what they say, and with young kids here and the way people act online, either through direct messages or even publicly, and kids should not be on social media at all with what you see out there. I mean, I just see what I go through, and people like us go through, and then kids on top of it, just how mean kids can be out there. Whew, it is a different world to deal with there, no doubt about that. And that's not the end of it for, and of course, Snapchat and I believe TikTok both settled out of court before that lawsuit went through. And this, like I said, that opens up other lawsuits to move forward as well against those companies. But now, social media platform Snapchat, yeah, they are owned by a U.S. company. You know, it's the parent company is Snap. We're going to look at their stock here coming up as well. But they were hit with an EU investigation on Thursday this morning because regulators warned it appears not to be doing enough to prevent child grooming and the sale of illegal goods on the platform. The EU is conducting the probe under the Digital Services Act. That requires big online platforms to do more to tackle illegal and harmful content, or they will risk fines of as much as 6% of their global annual sales. Snapchat said it continuously reviews and strengthens its safeguards within its programs. The European Union, though, well, it's charged with enforcing the act, said it suspected that Snapchat does not have sufficient safeguards to prevent children from being contacted by users looking to exploit them sexually or for criminal activities. It did say the company's content moderation tools, well, they were ineffective in preventing the spread of information, pointing users to the sale of illegal products such as drugs or even age-restricted products such as vapes and alcohol. The commission said it will take over an investigation opened by the Dutch regulators last September, all into Snap and the sales of vapes to children on Snapchat. Other areas of EU concerns. Well, they include Snapchat's self-declaration age assurance tool. Well, that's which regulators say is insufficient. It's inadequate at default account settings, and even its mechanisms to allow users to report dark patterns in its design. So EU now going after Snapchat for those regulation sides. So these social media sites, and as an opinion of your host here, I believe it's due. I don't know how they can do it other than just saying nobody under, but then how do you regulate who's under 18 on your sites and stuff? But we all know, the social media sites can be dastardly for people, especially people that don't know how to maneuver it out there. And so EU's going after them. Now there's this jury trial that'll obviously be appealed, but other trials coming the way on these companies and going to force them to the gravy train ending here for these companies moving forward. And folks, when we come back here at McCollum on Business, we keep it rolling. We got an update on that Saudi Arabian farming company that taking all the groundwater in the West Valley. Well, they're trying to get their lawsuit against them to stop that thrown away. We'll talk about that coming up and more, including looking at the Snap stock and then a couple of mining stocks as well. And I'll tell you what precious metals are doing here today. As we know, oil prices are up based off of this morning's news from the president. So much more. So come on back. It's McCollum on Business. back here, McCollum on Business Thursday edition. Of course, as soon as we're done here, well, we get these shows up on demand here at Robot TV and on our company production page here, TME Media. Well, if you go to YouTube, TME Media AZ, that's where all of the shows we produce here do show up. We're going to start like all the NASCAR stuff from the Phoenix races being uploaded here as well. Putting all of our production stuff out there, and we do have an NFL draft show coming up that we'll produce. Probably we'll get you more details, but we're looking at putting it out live on YouTube coming up here as well. So you want to follow TME Media as well. One, for the on-demand side of our programming as well. The main event on demand there as well. Of course, the pit stop, which will be up today by 2 o'clock on demand at that TME Media AZ YouTube page. Also, the Real Matrix, though, not on a YouTube. I know there's some shows still on there. We're going to cut it and do kind of a promotion thing on the YouTube. It's just YouTube's a little bit different with their goals and wants. So the Real Matrix is over at rumble.com. Of course, a side person there for YouTube. Now, if you like the Rumble page, you don't like YouTube, well, we're going to start putting our sports stuff up on there as well. We had to create some things and do some things to that. Wrapping that up as well. We'll get the sports side up there. Just as another way we're utilizing Rumble anyway for the Real Matrix. Might as well put our sports stuff on there. Don't forget, podcasts out there as well for all these shows, except for this one and the Real Matrix. No, there's podcasts for those. The Real Matrix, the Real Matrix, Angry Patriot on your favorite Matrix, on your favorite podcasting system. So you can find that. Of course, the Pit Stop. Just search the Pit Stop with Steven. Or at the Pit Stop Talk, it'll pop right up for you. There's a lot of pit stops out there. That a lot of them haven't been in service for a long time on those podcast systems. Then, of course, the main event. Just type in the main event with Steven or main event with Dale. That pops right up for you. For those of you that'd rather listen to the shows while you're driving or whatnot instead of watching it, all access to you out there as well. And folks, with all of that being said, Pit Stop today by 2 o'clock, it'll be up, and let's get right back into that Market Watch. Retail stocks, retail companies are saying that if the war does continue for several months, they're going to have to start raising prices as well. The price hikes there. President Trump this morning, of course, said that Iran negotiators better get serious soon before it's too late. That caused oil prices to skyrocket this morning, meaning a sell-off happening on the market. It is settling down a little bit here over the last 30 minutes or so. Israel did say they killed the Iran naval chief overseeing Strait of Hormuz blockade. That came out this morning as well. And the sell-off it's still a sell-off, but a sell-off isn't escalating to the levels we saw about an hour or half an hour ago. Dow Jones is still up. It's only at 64 points up right now, as that has gotten less on the positive side. S&P 500, it's still down, but not as bad, 23 points down. NASDAQ's 129 points down right now. The small cap index, it's up 3 points right now. It is fluctuating between positive and negative here this morning for the small cap index. And then there's Bitcoin down today, getting worse here as the day goes on. This cryptocurrency is under 70,000, 69,662 right now for a Bitcoin. So today, unless some words come out about the possible ending of the Iran war, which might be a tough day, at least in terms of sell-offs. We'll have to see what the day brings us here as well. Stocks that we're paying to right now, we just had that story on Snap with the EU looking at them. So let's look at Snap's stock right now as well. And they're down to 1 point right now. This is all because of the European Union saying it was investigating Snapchat for not doing enough to prevent child grooming and the sale of illegal goods on their site. We just did that story before the break. If you missed it, go back and catch that. But the Snap is down 1.11% right now. And then mining stocks are in the news today as well, all of them. What's happening is shares of gold and silver, the pricing is coming down. All precious metal pricing is coming down over the last several days. So first one we're going to look at, First Majestic Silver. Obviously a silver mining company, down 2.17% right now. Pretty much anything. I've not seen a stock in this field as a miner that does gold, silver, or copper that is not down today. And then, of course, we'll look at Freeport McMoran, which is big here in Arizona on the copper side, 3.10% down here today as well. All because precious metal prices are falling, which means these guys aren't making as much money by mining these precious metals, and their stocks are down today as well. So industries are just being ranked around here with the way and the turmoil here, not just in the stock markets, but all the indexes and precious metals and all of those items out there. The uncertainties affecting things beyond a belief out there. Now, let's get you some local stories here. A follow up here on a company called Fondo Monte. Saudi Arabian farming company. They're the ones taking all the groundwater for their alfalfa field over in the West Valley. Well, they came out and they say that they want a judge to pause a lawsuit against it. They're arguing that groundwater protections could resolve the issues in the case. Of course, no shocker here because she's suing them. Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays is disagreeing with that request from the company. Mays is suing Fondomonte under Arizona's public nuisance law. She's arguing that the excessive groundwater pumping has damaged the surrounding community over in that this is that Renegras Plain Basin is what we're talking about here. She brought the case against Fondomonte back in 2024, but last year the State Department of Water Resources established a groundwater protection zone in that same groundwater basin. So now they call it an active management area officially now. Fondomonte does argue that it's good enough reason to stop the lawsuit against them. The company told Maricopa County Superior Court judge on Wednesday that the issues Mays is suing them for could be resolved by that ADWR's actions. And if the judge rules too soon, the order could conflict with ADWR's actions as well. By the way, ADWR, when reached for comment, I believe it was KJazz that reached out to him. But they said, we're not involved in this. We're just, whatever happens, happens. Fondomonte intends to apply for that something they called the grandfathered irrigation groundwater rights in that plain basin in the West Valley. That means they'll ask to continue pumping groundwater for the same purpose as they have been for several years. That's the alfalfa plants and farming that they do there and then ship it overseas as well. So that lawsuit is spiking again here. And with Fondomonte going out there and asking for these changes from the lawsuit to be dropped by the judge. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that again. And there's a new report out there from the Audubon Society. Reports galore these days, right? They found that water-based recreation here in Arizona, it drives $11.7 billion of economic output here in Arizona. Now, this is the Audubon Society is an environmental group, and they say the findings highlight the importance of keeping water in the state's rivers, streams, and reservoirs. Obviously, we're having water shortages, and there's a big argument over which Colorado River water we can get compared to the other states, etc. That's why this report is a timely one here. And the report took a wide-reaching tally of recreational activities that people do along the water in Arizona. So it's not just boating, right? Fishing, hiking, biking, boating, birding, all the things they looked at. They calculated the amount of money those activities contribute to the economy. It found a $6.9 billion boost to the state's gross domestic product and also the support for more than 72,000 jobs based around the water here. The total amount of money generated by water-based outdoor recreation is more than the money generated by Arizona's golf industry or even the wine industry, according to this reporting. The report obviously is timely, as I said, because Arizona is staring down difficult decisions about its water future. The Colorado River Basin is in the big argument here between states, and it's also been within the grips of a mega drought that stretches back more than 2 decades. So any potential cuts to supplies for cities and farmers is a concern, but also less water in the streams that flow and even the snowmelt that reservoirs and the rivers depend on. Less of that even means that the runoff there means less activities, less money into those activities as well. So though that reporting is out there, it's not a shocker. Go to any lake, river, stream, etc. in the summertime around here or up north. It's crowded, folks. So it shouldn't be a shocker if people spend money to get out into nature and cool down in those waterways. And it's important to keep them flowing, obviously, on top of just survival here as well. And then City of Phoenix has an update here on those speed cameras, right? That they put up about a month ago. Well, now they're going to start issuing citations as of yesterday. So that's that 30-day warning period in which the devices captured more than 70,000 speeding violations in that 1 month test period. The city deployed 9 cameras, if you don't know, in corridors with a history of speed related crashes. 8 additional cameras will rotate through school zones throughout the school year. The program operates on a cost recovery model and generates no revenue for the city. Stop this. Anybody believe that? Anybody believe that? Any net funds will be reinvested into the Phoenix's Vision Zero plan. That plan aims to eliminate traffic fatalities and serious injuries as well. So, yeah. What if it doesn't generate enough money? Here's the point. It's going to generate enough money. Somehow it's going to generate enough money, regardless of that. 70,000 test ones out there as well. By the way, the permanent ones, if you want to see where they are, they're on a website that the city of Phoenix does put out as well. So we're back. The speed cameras were here. People threw such a fit about them, complaints about them. It wasn't worth the money. You found out, that the companies were taking large sums of money. They went away. Now speed cameras coming back in some municipalities out there. Phoenix, the first one I know out by me, out in Mesa, there's speed cameras, permanent speed cameras outside of school zones, like in high schools and things like that. They've started doing it in those areas, but not in not in major, not anywhere outside of speed camera areas. Other cities taking different, you know, stances, I guess we should say, moving forward on that side. So. Folks, I appreciate you joining me here on this Thursday edition. We're going to roll right into the main event here coming up at 8 o'clock. Me and a 17-year NFL veteran, Del Hellestrate. Uncle Lou comes in on Thursday as well. Going to be a fun day. Arizona plays tonight in men's basketball in the Sweet 16 against Arkansas. It's going to be a tough game for them. Home openers for Major League Baseball today as opening day happened yesterday for 2 teams in Major League Baseball last night. Talk about all that in the first hour. Uncle Luke comes in the second hour. Come and join us, would you? If not, catch all of our programming on our YouTube page, TME Media as well. And follow TME Media, our production page on Twitter as well, TME Media AZ. Give us a follow there as well. Gonna do previews and stuff of shows and what we do around here. So come and join us anywhere you may, folks. We'd appreciate it very much. And we'll see you tomorrow, Friday's edition. McCollum on Business. Until then, have a great Thursday night.